Hey guys, welcome back to another weekly developer diary. So for this week I've not got tons to show you, but for this week I mainly just did a lot of concepting for the game as well as having a little bit of time just to chill and recuperate after having a big coursework deadline. But first of all, here I've got to show you is also in the rest of this week I'm starting to make walking animations for the player. So as you see right now, I've got one of the player in like the overworld. It's going to be walking down, and I think this works quite well. Because zoomed in, it looks quite natural. It looks like the feet are moving up and down, the arms are swinging with them. I might add a bit of like a head bob to it. So maybe on like a couple frames, I can have just the head go down a little bit. Just for example, it'll be something much smoother than this. But for example, say I did something along these lines. Maybe some. Okay, yeah, no, that doesn't really work. But I might add some sort of head bob, which maybe make the hair like the ponytail at the top bob or something. But saying that, I'll have to test what it looks like actually in motion moving in the game. But I think this works quite well. It looks quite. Oh, still got it on one of the frames. There we go. It works quite well and looks quite natural. Is that fixed? There we go. But yeah, I think it works quite well. So right now I've only got one of the player walking down, and obviously in the game it's not going to be zoomed in this big, it'll be about this size, which at that viewpoint it looks like the player's walking, which is what I was aiming for. So I've still got to do this for the other directions. So I've got to do it so the player walking left, right and up, which shouldn't take too long as they're all quite small sprites, and for the walk animation, it's only 4 frames, being the normal standing, well, actually it's 3 frames. It's normal standing animation, walk, put in their right foot out, revert back to normal standing animation, and then walking with their left foot out. So it's quite simple. It's not too hard to make, so that's going to be work quite well, especially when I'm creating other characters. Because something I'm also probably going to do a little bit of this week is just making other characters in this art style, as I did a few weeks ago with the more like SNES larger characters art style. So I might take this model, this sprite, and I might, maybe make a smaller child version. I might make one that's, just different characters that would be in the world, so like random townspeople and NPCs. Other than that, the concept that I've done in the game is now the story elements for the first chapter of the game are pretty much narrowed down. Bar the having a specific script, the main story elements of chapter 1 are pretty much narrowed down now, as well as the story elements of chapter 2 are coming along a lot more. They're starting to solidify more. And I've also just today made a start on getting some, well, today and past few days, getting a start on some ideas for the third chapter of the game. So I won't explain all of it because it's a fair bit, but essentially first chapter is going to take place in this autumn themed town, and it's basically going to be where the player character is from. It's going to be quite a simple first chapter just to ease the player into the game, and sort of the first chapter isn't going to have any big moral dilemmas, but it's going to sort of ease the player into knowing that the game does have a bit of a darker tone in a sense without going too dark, just so showing it like not everything always works out. With then chapter 2 taking a much darker turn, it being in a like ice themed town, with the dungeon in the first chapter is going to be like an autumn forest, and the dungeon in the second chapter is going to be in like an icy cavern area. It's like an underground area. So I thought a good way for that dungeon could just be simply add some sort of ice puzzles where, the player might slide across the floor and has to figure out which way to go. And then those two ideas I'm quite sold on. The third chapter, right now I'm thinking of it maybe taking place in a coastal town, with the dungeon being like a beach with like a sunset aesthetic, which then leads to like a big cliff face or like bluff where they have to confront the villain in that chapter. So I have a lot of other ideas written down, but I'm not going to go through all of it because it'll take quite a while to explain. But I've got a good amount of the story elements narrowed down. So now I've had a bit of time just this week to just recover a bit from having a big coursework deadline. For the coming week, I want to get a lot of art assets done. So I want to probably build a bit more on this tile set before I start implementing them. Because right now, the main things I probably need is just more like floor tiles rather than just grass and dirt, which shouldn't be too hard to create. So maybe, some path tiles, some like rocky terrain, a water tile, just a lot of basic things. As well as I'll just see what other tiles I need to create as I need them. So as I'm painting a tile set, I might just be like, oh, I could use a larger bush that's maybe 2 tiles wide and 1 tile high. Now I'll just create that and implement it. So I'm gonna be working on the tile set as well as by the end of next week. Well, by next week's game dev diary, I'll definitely have more walk animations for the other 4 directions for the player. And I will probably also have some other overworld character sprites of just random town NPCs and just characters in the overworld. So that's what I'm planning to get done for next week. And then maybe if I have time, I might create just a basic tile-based movement. Because I've done that before and I know it's not too difficult. Because I've created tile-based movement in the past before. So I might just do that to just try painting some tiles down, just see how they look in game with it all like put together. See if anything needs changing. So that's all I've got for this week. So well, that's what I plan to do next week. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all next week. All right, peace.